Sorry about this awful shite music. It was all I could find. Somebody said that's just the band dancing their tits off, so that's nice. Let me know if you can hear me in the comments. That would be great. Cheers then. People waiting in the wings. Oh, why break the supremacist, I'm sure. 72, the racism spreading. Next thing I'll be handing out UW badges and leather boots. But if you can't get those, you might as well just buy yourself a Tesla. Fucking toilet, this music, sorry. Oh. Could have dished out the party biscuit. Oh, bag. Hello, love. Yes, Max, I was out today. It's a 2 Unlimited B-side. Christ, I remember them. Well, we're at 95. Can we reach 100 before we go live? Let's see. Don't forget to share this, because you can be well, pretty sure that YouTube won't. Look at now, 109, just like that. Why the gay intro tune? Well, Gavin, I was told you liked them. Yeah, smash the like button, even if you don't like the music. Very famous music makes me work. Now, there is a reason behind this. Right, let's just start sharing that utter shite. Right, some of you may be wondering why I was playing that awful shite, but some of the music that I played in the past, they end up copyrighting it, and then you end up getting you lose your bloody no claims, if you like. So there we are. Right, probably a few things to talk about. Yes, I am stone cold sober. I probably have way too much coffee. So we'll see how this one goes. So far, at the moment, you can hear me, you can see me. I've got the stories ready, and allegedly the phone's going to work, but anything can happen, and usually will on one of mine. But I don't have anything to blame it on, as I said earlier on. So where shall we start? Do you own a vehicle? That's the question. Some of us have a vehicle or more, but it does seem to me that the Chancellor has decided that she wants to go and smash us with a bit more. So confirmed car tax changes. There's a part in here that I like. That's what I'm talking about this. To those self-fucking loving electric car, I'm better than you fuckers, right? That couldn't see the future. Like anything else, really. The sort of people that buy electric cars actually buy them themselves are usually middle-class, virtue-signaling fucktards who believe they're doing something for the environment and didn't realize that the amount that goes into making this lump of semi-unrecyclable fucking incombustible piece of shit that says nothing more than I know nothing about it. That green strip on the number plate just tells me the guy in front's a cunt. That is unless it's a company car and he's unlucky, which, you know, some people are unlucky. But what these people thought they were going to do is they thought they were going to rub our nose in it, right? And they also thought that they were going to get away from paying car tax and all the rest of it. And they were sold a lie. Not mentioning that these cars also are well expensive to buy. And they were given free, no, not free, very cheap electric to start with. And then that didn't go so well, did it? And then obviously, as I say, they started catching fire. But from now on, confirmed tax changes from the UK in April, and electric cars are going to have to pay road tax. Who saw that coming? And multi-fuel cars, that is electric and petrol. There is a name for it. I can't remember because I don't have one. Car tax changes will affect all drivers in the UK. I'm getting spanked as well. From the 1st of April, April Fools. Yeah, it's a fool that we're going to be paying it, but whatever. Time to grit your teeth and see what is expected. I know mine's gone up by about 40 quid a year, which is great. Car tax of legal requirement in the UK, and you need to pay every year if you want to drive and store your car on the road. Yeah. Thing is, if you drive around with a car without MOT or tax, or insurance for that matter, you get absolutely hammered. But if you do all these requirements and get your car up to scratch every year and make sure it's all good to go on the road, you get to break it just by driving around the roads that are no longer actually fit for purpose. But who do you complain to? Anyway, the biggest update to vehicle exercise duty, aka car tax and road tax this year, is that electric cars are no longer exempt and need to pay it for the first time. Have it. Never saw that coming, did you? Well, actually, you probably did, because like me, you can fucking read through this and go, what it is a bid to make everybody get rid of their car, buy something new, so that the big globalists make a shitload of money. And then what they'll do is they'll change the goalposts, as they do all the time, and then you'll have to go and buy something else, as they did with leaded, then unleaded, then diesel, then dual fuel. That was the one I was looking for earlier on. Then electric. And now they're on about, is it hydrogen or something like that? We'll see. So what's it going to do? What are the charges? Blah, blah, blah. Electric car taxes. One of the main is that EVs will now have to pay road tax. Brand new EVs need to pay the expensive. Oh, that's the other thing. If your car is deemed an expensive car, that is, it's 40 grand brand new or over, which unfortunately that thing of mine is, right, when it was new. It's not worth anything like that now. BMW depreciates quicker than that bird who went round 1,000 people trying to set a record. So literally, once you've got a second-hand BM, you know, they're not worth a wank. It's a bit like Jags. You buy a Jag off the forecourt, shitloads of money. Drive it off the forecourt, what you have there is something worth the same as a Mondeo. But because it costs a lot to buy an electric car, it is now lumped into the expensive car. So there's an extra tax on top, and they have to pay tax straight away in the first year. And they actually have to pay tax, which they were told they wouldn't when they bought it. So unlucky. That'll teach you for virtue signaling. Not just that. Those poor black people that were young and battered to make this cobalt shit for your car so you could drive around showing everybody how virtuous you were. Not to mention the fact that car, all the bits were literally pulled from all the four corners of the earth and then it was made somewhere else, then put on a ship, which it's not exactly cheap to run, and dragged halfway around the earth, and then brought in on a dock, and then put on a train, and brought halfway through, and then dumped in a compound, and then some poor bastard has to pick it up and then take it to the dealer before you get your hands on it, by the way. And then obviously, I don't know, 6 months down the road, it'll, I don't know, combust. Or even worse, if you get a small bump in the back, and I'm talking about something that it wouldn't bother a petrol engine car person, they have to write it off because they don't know if a cell's gone. Excellent. So that's the electric cars. I believe mine's gone up 20 quid on top and an extra 20 quid charge for reasons I don't know. And it does seem to me that the Labour government do detest anybody but the extremely rich having anything nice. They don't want you to have cars. They don't want you to have motorbikes. They don't want you to have your own house. They don't want you to be, say, for instance, a small haulier owning your own lorry business. They put so many things in place that to be a haulier these days, you're making fuck all, literally very little on top, right? They want everything to be owned by the government, okay? So nationalize just about everything, which in some cases works okay, in other cases it doesn't. It's fucking shite. But there it is. See, I believe that certain parts of socialism are a good idea. I said idea, not in practice. And other parts of socialism are just shit. The idea being is that somebody can be an absolute grafter and he'll get the same as the lazy fucking twat that doesn't get his finger out, right? I don't think that's right. And I don't believe that people that get off their ass and work hard and make something should be punished. I also don't believe that if somebody saved their money and decide they want to buy a nice expensive car, which is their choice, they should be hit so hard because they're considered to be, well, they've got more money than they should have, so we'll take it. And all of these socialists, right? If you look around the world, all of these people who are high up in socialism, look how much money they had. They didn't believe in socialism, but there it is. Right, well, let's fuck that off because that's enough whinging about these electric fucking tossers. Do you know, fucking bores me piss. Right, will this actually work? Because it is the Telegraph and they usually want me to pay money. Except, Robert Clark, we don't need happy soldiers. We need fit ones, soon to be dead ones. If they get involved in this new scheme to go and send them into the meat grinder in Europe, brilliant. There you go. Spring sale. 1 year for 25 quid, the Telegraph. So you could be institutionalized for 25 quid. Right. That's great. I don't want that. A proposal for trainees to be given lions will only soften our already depleted army. Can you imagine that back in the day? Right. It doesn't look like I could read any more of that because I've got to pay money. So fuck off. But I think we can read between the lines there. Back in the day, there was a thing called national service, and it was considered to be a good idea. Even though, as now, we were getting ourselves involved in wars and going and helping other countries, which, to be quite frank, had pretty much fuck all to do with us, but we had a financial interest, so send the boys in. But the idea being is that all people got conscripted into this national service for 2 years of their life and had the edges knocked off them. And you usually found that the whoever it was that drilled you, because I ain't going to call him a drill instructor because that'll be America, but you get the idea. The person that drilled them wasn't exactly a pussy and had seen action himself and didn't have time for I'm special or anything like that. So bear with, I've got to go over there and have a look at this. Doing right, okay, yeah, no worries. I'll go back to that in a second. But the whole purpose of this was you knock all the personal character out of these people and you get them to start thinking the way you've programmed them. And then they all work as a team and they think about each other as a team and they don't. That's why they used to shave all their fucking hair when at the American army, they just took all their hair off. So they didn't look different. They were all the same. But what they certainly did do is teach people how to appreciate the man next to you, how to look after the man next to you, how to look after your kit, how to look after yourself, personal hygiene, respect, morals, responsibility, personal responsibility. Can you imagine teaching that nowadays? But anyway, it seems that now we're struggling to get hold of anybody into the meat grinder. Sorry, I mean army. And anybody who does come in, they've got to go gentle on them because otherwise they'll claim that they're special. They've got something wrong with them and they get fucked off out of it. So, can you imagine placing our army today? Because there are some fucking good boys in there, right? Okay, and girls, right? But can you imagine pitting them today up against an army of, say, for instance, the 1950s, right? Rev, they all got free medical, which includes dental and sex. Shut up. Fuck it. So transvestites can go into the army. That's what we used to call them, isn't it? Transvestites. And then claim they are a bird if they wear it as a mush. And then get their junk off on the army and then have all that done, which means that while they're having the operation and all that sort of shit, they can't go out and do fuck all anyway. And after that, they can claim they've got mental health problems and get booted out. That's quite a fucking grift. Impressive. There it is. Right. Shall we just change the banner? Because we're not starting in a few minutes. Stop that. And where are we looking? Start in a few minutes. Like, share, subscribe. That'd be a good one. Right. By the way, if you do want to call in, that's up to you. If you don't, fine. Right. So it's a shame I couldn't really read that, but there it is. Motorist to bear the brunt. Rachel Reeves car tax change. We've done that. This might not go on massively long. Oh yeah, this is one I like the look of. Oh, fuck off. It's a Telegraph again. Male channel migrants crowd into boat, leaving women in sea. Who would have thought? Hey? Women and children first. Not on that fucking craft, mate. Boarding a dinghy of northern France, crossing this year reached 5,000 in record time. So it might be a reason why you don't see very many women on these boats because, well, what's a woman? She's worth half of a man in their death cult. So is it really surprising to think that maybe if a boat tipped over and everybody went into the sea, that the men get back on it and the women can fucking drown because they're not worth a piece of shit? You tell me. I wonder if I'll actually be able to read this. You know, let's send the picture over. That looks photoshopped. See what you think. You know, present. That to me looks photoshopped. Anyway, male migrants were seen crowding themselves onto a people smuggling boat, leaving women in the sea as they prepared to cross the English Channel. Oh, right. So they hadn't set off yet. It does make me wonder where they get all these boats from. I mean, are they sort of taking the boats back out of Dover and sending them back over? Right, we have a call. Hello.
Good evening, Simon. How are you doing?
How's it going? Oh, yeah. I'd say I was living the dream, but a bit of pain at the moment. Knee's gone wrong, but there we go. How are you?
Oh, yeah, it's better middling. Always walking along. I'm listening to what you've done about the car tax. I haven't seen that yet. Because I've Nissan Grand.
1 second, mate. I got a problem with this. Let me. Yeah, go again.
I've got Nissan L Grand.
Right.
So it's gonna rock up for that, I dare say. I haven't checked it yet. What do you think about what Rupert Lowe's doing at the moment?
1 minute, I've got a problem with it. Can anybody else hear this breaking up? Hang on a minute. Can't see her. Caller sounds like she's breaking up. No, I think it's a he. Yeah. Is it? I don't know if it's this end or not. And Paz is in the...
Is that any better?
I think it could be me. So let me try something else here, mate. Bear with. Right. I'm just going to disconnect and reconnect because I think it's this thing. Right. Let's try again. There had to be a problem, didn't there? So just bear with and we'll be back on. Let's try that. All right. Can you hear me now? Right. That's coming through all right, but it's... Yeah, I think it could be my roadcaster.
Hey, let me try ringing you back.
No, we're all right now. Bear with. Right, carry on. Yeah, it's always the way. When I set this up before we go live, right, it's all right.
Yeah.
And the moment I get the first call, it goes, tell you what, I'm going to play up. It just does that. Anyway, we can hear you all right now.
Brilliant. What do you think about what Rupert Lowe's done?
Right, you're going to have to let me know on this one because I've basically kept my head out of politics for a little while because I took my head for a shit. But you tell me.
He started, because, back when he was still with Reform,
right?
They made a promise that they were going to have a national inquiry over the rape gangs.
Right.
And Rupert Lowe has he started getting the framework together because he made a promise and he's going to keep that promise. He's got a post on X. It's not GoFundMe, it's the other one. What is the other one?
So he's sticking to his guns, but at the moment, what you're getting out of Farage is hot air and have you seen me and look at me and I'm me. And, I've not had any good things to say about Farage for the last 5 years or so because I know he's a self-opinionated, narcissistic, sociopath fucking grifter that's only interested in how Nigel Farage looks and gets on whilst trying to cozy up next to other significantly more famous grifters. All right. So if this Rupert is for real and he's not more paid opposition like Farage, then fucking more power to him. And I hope people can see through. I mean, the fact that Paz got booted out of Reform's thing today, there is. I had a quick word with Paz. He's going to do a video about it, so I'm not going to talk about it in so much as I haven't got the details. But it does seem odd, especially as. At the end of the day, Paz could have been a very good ally for them. You know what I mean? He could put out what they're saying because he has a big following. And, what they seem to have done is just shit in their hat and punch it. So well done to that. But yeah, no, if this guy, the only problem we get is every time that something gets to a certain mass, they split it. But the thing is, the Muslim vote's not getting split. The Muslims are growing, right? And Islam is looking to take over via politics. It's not going to fight us, right? And they will get to vote en masse, all right? Where we're all going to all these different groups, okay? We're splitting our vote. We all think we're being patriotic. And what we're doing is being taken for an absolute mug by people who are running these, I don't know what you want to call them, paid opposition parties. Because some of the people that you get in them, they're absolute toffs. They're grifters. They're out for themselves. That they wouldn't stand next to you in a pub and talk to you. They wouldn't want to be anywhere fucking near you. I mean, Farage considers anybody who talks like you do or I do as a fucking racist. You couldn't be fucking further away from his vote if he tried. Can you remember that clip of, I think it was a Labour politician, had his mic on in the Jag. And so, you remember that?
Prescott, John Prescott.
Yeah. Don't let that thing near me again, or whatever it was. And this is what these politicians are like. All full of smiles when the camera's on, right? But as soon as the camera's off, they fucking hate us. And Farage is the same.
Well, I was all for. I mean, I've got no time for Richard Tice anymore. As soon as he said that lot, I was like, middle finger, mate.
But I warned people about this, right? I said Tice was a posh fucking, like, paid grifter that was polished into... He knows the right buzzwords to say. He is like all politicians. They have a group of people that sit with them and they say, you need to say this, you need to touch on that, and you need to pretend you're interested in this because this is the latest thing. And it will gain you, views or whatever. So...
Well... When I found out that he was the head of Reform before Farage parachuted in for Clacton, I was like, yeah, okay, because Farage isn't the head of it, I'll vote for them. And then because Farage came into it, oh, wow, I really had to hold my nose to put reform down when the last vote. But I thought I've got to, because it can't get much worse. But
It will.
how wrong I was.
It will. I mean, if you remember how Farage, because he couldn't completely control UKIP, and because UKIP ended up being a lot more powerful than they ever expected, and because it was lots of people like us, he then had to destroy it. And then what he did was he handpicked a load of absolute fucking weapons to run it and ran it into the ground. And it was only when Gerard Batten came in that Gerard actually got the finances back into the black and actually doubled the amount of people who were part of the party. And that was in many ways thanks to Tommy, right? And then Nigel called them all fucking jackboot racists. It's like, oh, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I have watched Farage and I've never liked him. He's always rubbed me up the wrong way. I mean, I don't know the guy, but he makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Mm-hmm.
He's that smarmy.
Do you know what? If he actually got into power, this was Farage, right? The first thing he'd do is fuck off over to Israel, put one of them hats on, right, and go and kiss a fucking wall. You can guarantee it.
Yep.
Yeah. So ask who's controlling.
What Ben Habib? You haven't been doing any politics. Well, Ben Habib has been saying some real good things. So fingers crossed, they might come up with something yet.
Where's Ben Habib from? Because I don't know who he is.
Sorry?
Where's Ben Habib from?
Ben Habib. Oh, he used to be in Reform.
Right.
And he didn't win his seat. And when did they fire him or did he leave? I can't remember. But basically, because he called out Nigel publicly to democratise the party. And the same as what happened to Rupert Lowe happened to Ben Habib. But the guy talks so much sense, and he's fighting still for Brexit to be done properly, so that Northern Ireland isn't being left behind.
I'm going to come across as quite racist now, but why is it that we can't get a party full of indigenous people where we can trace their lineage back and make sure that they're not actually doing it for some other reason? Because this guy, Pakistani British politician, right? Has he got any, all his allegiances with the British people, or is he directed by some other thing?
No. He's...
One second. Put in the comments, one, if you believe that we should have a party full of white indigenous people, not racist, just white indigenous people that have the white indigenous people of this country's best interest first. Put one in the comments if you believe that. Put two if you think I'm a racist cunt. It'll be interesting. Sorry, love. Carry on.
If you look at Labour at the moment, nearly all of them are white. Doesn't mean to say it's better.
No, because what happens is they get shitloads of BAME and other flavours, right? And a load of lumps of wood in there, right? And then what they do, is the white fuckers they get in there are people who hate their own kind. Great. I mean, Marxism, communism, socialism, right? You put all those isms together and you've got one shade of shit in Labour. And in many ways, when you think about it, some of the ways of Islam, complete control, right? You will do whatever or you will be fucking had over. And you could be pulled up and accused of anything. Well, these fucking weapons seem to think that the great times are coming and that we will end up all being oppressed under this great socialism or Marxism or fucking communism, because I never did really get the great difference between, they all sound like shit, and especially when you used to get people like Stalin and others say we're communists in a socialist country. So I got more confused. But all I know is it spells misery, hardship, poor running of the country, and financial misery for the people that are below us. But these fucktards in Labour they've got this great socialist idea, and yet at the same breath they're going to fuck the country and hand it over to Islam. Make of that.
I don't think they've got any idea. I don't think they really believed they were going to win.
Labour did, but here's the thing.
I mean, they're so ill prepared.
We needed, right, and this is going to sound bad, we needed such a blitheringly shit organisation to be in power, to do it so badly and to show just how much they hated their own, right? And just how much they love these invaders, right? Because that's what they fucking are.
Yeah.
Right? We needed that, because without that, because let's be honest, the Conservatives were just slightly more subtle about it, right? And it was going to be a longer period, and people, the fuckwits, might not have woken up. Well, I don't know about you. All the people that were calling me racist and stuff like this in the past are now talking in a way openly to me that I would consider be far more extreme than me. And these were the non-voters, or the people that were slightly on the left. And I said fucking years ago that these people were going to flip, right? And when they did, they would flip hard. And now these people despise the people that have come into our country, right? Because they can't get the council house. They can't get the benefits. They can't get a lot of things. They can't get into the doctors. They can't get their kids into certain schools. They can't get fuck all, because everybody's part in it is put first. We've got something about it actually in a minute, actually, especially with the court systems. So, yeah, but this Ben Habib, is he gone over with this other guy to a different party or not?
No, he's been out of reform for about 6 or 8 months now. But what made me actually sit up and listen to him was one day he was on with Julie Hartley-Brewer.
Right.
And she said, well, what would you do about the boats then? He said, turn them round. And she said, well, there could be loss of life. And he said,
not your fucking problem.
Something along those lines.
If they walked into a minefield, whose fault would it be?
We will turn them round and they will go back to France. And she said, you can't do that. And I'm not prepared to live in a country where people are that savage. And I can't remember.
What, Julia Hartley-Brewer said that?
Hartley-Brewer said it.
I fucking knew she was a turncoat bastard. Yeah, she's a great actor.
I tell you what, up until that point, I was well on her side. And then I listened to that and I was like, no.
Doesn't it prove what I say?
No.
Any of these political or, say, for instance, you wouldn't get a party that would get into a position where it's so well recognized without it being controlled. And in the same way, when they say that, say, for instance, we're GB News, we're different, we're on the right. Of course you are. You're a bunch of lefties parading as right-wingers, and the few right-wingers that you had in there, you fired off out of it, right? Julia Hartley-Brewer, she is the opposite to that other bloke in there. You know, the one that sits there with the headphone off going, well, I fucking he's a wanker. Anyway, right? People will believe, because she says a few things that sounds great. Then all of a sudden, somebody will trigger her and a left-wing bias will come through and you'll see them for what they're worth. The mask slips.
Well, that was definitely against Ben Habib. And he clapped straight back at her. I believe it might have even been before the election, because it was quite a while back, because I've been following Ben Habib for a while now. And that's what actually made me sit up and listen. And then when I heard how passionately he spoke about getting Brexit finished, and as far as Nigel's concerned, it's finished. And Ben said, no, it's not.
No.
You know?
Nigel's just looking not to piss on too many people's...
Muslim?
Well, I mean, he'd love us to get dragged back into there so then he could join the European Union as an MEP and get his $100,000 a year. And then also pretend to go through the same bullshit again of trying to get us out of it. Now, the last time that we actually had any cohesion, right, and where we all stuck together was a miners' strike. Can you remember that? I don't know how old you are.
Yeah.
Right. I've done some digging lately. Do you realise that people who were part of the NUM, like, Scargill's helpers, were over getting money out of Gaddafi, right, and other Marxist communist people, and it was nothing more than funded by because they took a load of money out there, and the people that then funded them were commies and terrorists, right? And they used the miners, right? These were the good working people. They used those fuckers to try and break the government to get Marxism in here, right? We have been attacked over, since at least the First, Second World War. And constantly, Marxism, socialism, communism, call it what you want, has been trying to get into power in this country. The government at the time has been trying to fight it, because if Marxism and socialism, all that comes in, then all of these globalists that shit all over us, right, will get fucked and they'll lose everything, right? But we'll lose out as well, right? Make no bones about that. And it's like this.
Absolutely.
It's like, do you want to get fucked hard and dry, or would you like to get fucked against your will, but with a bit of lube so it's not quite so savage? And these are the choices we get given. You might actually get your nipple tweaked if you're lucky, right? But other than that, fuck it, you're having it.
Yeah. So true. But are you going to be at the rally when Tommy comes out?
Hang on a second. What have you done your fucking hair? I've just noticed, Alan. I think fuck it. We've got a white man parading around as a black person here. I'm watching you. All right. Fuck it hell. From within the ranks. Right. I think because his hair's been grown, the kids have got to him and put some braids down him, right? Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. He's like, they fucking got me, didn't they? Vikings don't have things like that, or do they? They might do. Anyway, we'll have to get a picture of Alan and Marxism, communism being Jewish and only. Yeah, it's true. Do you know what? That Karl Marx, a failed rabbi that had personal hygiene problems, he stank like fuck apparently, who couldn't get a job, who hated the fucking bourgeoisie and the rich, who was funded by the bourgeoisie, and then wrote a manifesto of how you should live your life to be successful. Has anybody ever seen where the fuck this went wrong? And then dumb cunts followed him, and hundreds of millions of people died. That's like, right? That's like Nick Leeson, right in the School of Finance for those who want to be financially successful. It's like, I don't know, fuck it, Peter Sutcliffe, How to Charm Prostitutes. It would be the same. Fuck me up and down. I do like get it off me plate. Way too many coffees. I'll put some candles on to try and give me some chill. Look.
Say that again.
I've put candles on to try and chill out. It's obviously not working because I'm still ranting. But
candles don't. You know, candles aren't good for you, love.
Are they not?
No, it's all a bunch of. My daughter will say, "You've got a tinfoil hat on."
What, you mean like for the last 7-10 years, like when we all had our tinfoil hat on, the fact that it's all happened, it doesn't matter. Yeah, because here's the thing. I just see these fucking, they're not lefties or righties. What they are is just fucking idiots, all right? Well, because the left and right divide is sort of coming to a lot of, it's bollocks now, isn't it? It's either you're a fucking weapon or you got your head screwed on, right? That's it. There isn't a great deal. Right. They're saying candle fume's bad for you. Yeah, all right, whatever. They fill the air with wax.
It's something that they're made of.
Alan, tosser, next time you buy a rag top, it's our top. Fuck off. They are over there as well. Because at the moment, I've got them sat in the back room watching me just being them. And yeah, and he's typing in here just to be a knob. Right, that put me off. I was just going to get into one, you fuckwit. Oh, well. Paraffin candles.
Candles.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's our top anyway. So, yeah. fuck it. That was it. What they'll say, you may have been right, but you did it because you hated them and you didn't do it for the right reasons. Or you did it because you said it because you were a racist. Or you did a little bit because of this. Not actually, we could see through all the bullshit for what it really was, because you'll never be right. Even if you're right, you're wrong because because we don't like you, basically. So we've got to gaslight you or fucking summit light. And at the end of the day, it's no, mate, you're a fuckwit. Yeah, you'll fall for everything, and they'll fall for the next thing. So when's the next lockdown?
My youngest daughter, when she shocked the living crap out of me when she turned around and one day and said, "Well, you're just far right," and I went, "Sorry." She said, "You're far right." I said, "What? Really right, or just far right?" And she said, "Well, you support Tommy." I said, "I tell you what, kid," I said, "look into it before you criticise me. Once you've looked into it and you've watched some documentaries instead of the bullshit that everybody else is spinning for you," I said, then you can come back at me on that, love." And one of the rallies, I was desperately trying to get somebody to come to London with me. Didn't want to go on my own. And I asked like all of my family, any of them, if they'd go, and it was like, no.
They're terrified of being seen, aren't they?
Well, my sister sent me a screenshot of one of the mainstream media of like far right demonstration. So I sent her one back of a video of the actual like rally that they were having. I said, if that makes me far right, I'm all in.
Thing is, right, when we get called far right, we show up, we don't kick off, right? Although they send people to kick off at us, and we don't leave loads of rubbish. When you see one of those save the fucking planet, after they finish, the field's destroyed and it's full of shit. Or if they don't like, they use violence. So it is absolute shite. Anyway, my love, what I'm going to do is see if anybody else wants to call in, because I'm not planning on being on massively long. Because
of course, I was absolutely gutted because I just missed you the other day because I lost my signal, and when you did your last live, and I was like, damn it. But listen, you take care. Hi to everybody. Keep your chins up and smile just because you can.
Indeed. All right, lovely. Well, you take it steady, and I'll catch you in a bit.
Thank you.
All right, love.
Bye.
There we go. That was nice. Right, what's going on this phone fucking thing? Did anybody see what they call a British hero tackling an Amsterdam stabbing? We'll do that in a bit then. Hello.
How you doing, brother?
Oh, living the dream, honestly. Keep telling myself. Anyway, what about you?
Good. I'm fine. Just wanted to chat. You know, the lady that was just talking to, she was talking about Ben Habib.
Yeah.
Rupert Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
See, Ben Habib was the leader of reform.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with reform, it's all, I mean, I'm of the same opinion as you. It's all been a smokescreen. Farage is nothing but a timekeeper. Mm-hmm. He's there to waste the time.
Until the numbers have built up, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. There's one thing I was wanting to say. It was the other day that I saw, it was an interview with Rory Stewart. You know, the little ratbag. Don't know whether he's Tory or Labour or whatever.
Right. No, I didn't. I don't know this one, but go on.
Right. He was sitting there and he was doing this interview and he was sitting there smugly saying, "Oh, we need diversity and all this," and then he let slip that he owned 2 NGOs. Now,
who'd have thought?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, well, I've personally been hit by the rape gang thing. And Rupert Lowe's saying that he's going to do a national inquiry. Well, I'm of the opinion now, even though I've been personally hit by that, it's a pointless thing. It's a waste of time. We all know why. We know it's pushed because it's part of the religion of peace. It's one of their tactics that's used, death by 1,000 cuts. Why aren't we looking into politicians and civil servants, especially in Westminster, that either own NGOs, are on the board of NGOs, or have shares and stocks in NGOs?
Wasn't that Ben Habib linked to international banking or somewhere? You know, the people that we can't talk about. Isn't he somewhere linked along with them? But that I know you're on about now. Rory Stewart, the one that looks ill.
The melted face one.
That's it. Wasn't he around
Yeah.
during lockdown chatting shit?
Yes. He was being pushed to the front quite a bit.
Doc Cotton.
He was being
he looks like Doc Cotton, doesn't he, in drag?
Oh, man. He looks like a golem that's been melted.
Yeah.
From Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, he's not brilliant, is he? Fuck it.
No.
So, go on.
I mean, I'm a bit disheartened at the moment because I'm just seeing everybody running around putting out all the little fires rather than dealing with the dragon that's sitting over the head, you know?
Nothing's going to get done till it comes to civil unrest.
This is it.
Look, the thing is, it'll happen. We won't start it, but it'll happen. And when it does, what'll happen is there'll be organisations that'll be fuck all to do with us that will spring up, and it will be much like it was in 1969 in Northern Ireland, one side against another, and it will be bloody and it will be protracted, and the side that will be supported won't be the side you would imagine, and you'll have lockdowns, you'll have no-goes, you'll have areas that will be fenced off, you'll have people being taken off to prison and locked up without any bit like internment. And it's all going to go wrong. That's why those big prisons are there. And that's actually what I think that it's been pushed to come to. So you can't win, by the way. This is the whole way it's been set up. That if you turn to violence, you get locked up. If you stay away from violence, what'll happen is bad things anyway, and you'll end up getting fucking attacked. So you're fucked. And you have to prepare for the future being awful.
Exactly.
And it's just, there's so much that you all get it, right? I don't have to say it, right? But you all get it, and you know what's happening. And you know there's a bunch of people who will be, I mean, when there's a person who's been attacked and then they can't name the attacker, describe the attacker, you know exactly who the attacker is. And yet, of course, when they do start saying the attacker, it's John Smith, white, and they've got every bit of details about him. So one side's protected and the other side isn't. And actually, there is something at the moment that's we've got here somewhere. Sentencing Council rejects demands to scrap the new 2-tier guidelines. So what they're saying now is if you were a Muslim and you commit the same crime as, say, for instance, a white indigenous person, the white indigenous person will get a harder sentence because A, they've had it easier, B, they should know better, and C, they've got no special privilege, right?
Yep.
And it will be the same for others. So I should imagine that if you're, say, for instance, from the latest grift, what's the name of that place now? Ukraine. You will probably get off. Now, something to bear in mind, I'm going to do an Irish live stream. And the reason I'm going to do this, and people say, why aren't you talking about what's happening here, is because they're far more advanced at the moment in their problems, right? But if you want to get into college over in Southern Ireland, the money you'll get if you're a white indigenous paddy, right, will be this much, right? If you're Ukrainian, you get this much, 3 times the amount, right? Now, also, if you drive around illegally as an Irish person, you get nicked, rightly so. If you are Ukrainian, nothing is said, right? You go through a checkpoint or whatever like that, or the police, right, they just wave you through. They know you've got no insurance, no MOT, no whatever, but you'll wave through. Now, over there, same over here, we all pay a certain amount extra on our insurance that goes into a fund that if you get hit by an uninsured driver, it gets paid. Over in Ireland, this money is being taken up by a lot of these Ukrainians just having crashes. But when it gets to court, they never mention that they're not insured. Now, if you want to get a house, okay, over there, they're now building houses purely for the invading army and these Ukrainians. The other problem is if you want to rent a property over there, right, and you want to rent to, say, for instance, an indigenous person, you will get hit so hard with tax that it will make it impossible for you to rent that property. If you rent it to a Ukrainian, you don't get hit with any tax at all. I could go on, but you get the idea. Hang on a second. Ragnar, you've got the idea. And what did I say over there, Rags? I said, I probably did, you might have seen it years ago. About 7 years ago, I said in 10 years' time that the quarter of the population would come about, right? And bearing in mind, the figures we're all working on are the figures that are not being, they're manipulated, so they're not accurate, right? Now, this happened within 5-6 years that they've almost quartered the population. So if you're a student, you can't afford to get digs. You can't afford to do fuck all because the money's not there. If you're a normal person that's working, right, you're going to struggle to pay your rent if you can get a place, okay? And what they're actually trying to do over in Ireland, Southern Ireland, but it's probably as bad or getting as bad up the north, is they're trying to eradicate the Irish. That's it. There's no other thing for this. So,
well, it's the same across the UK, isn't it?
It's not quite as bad, but it will be.
It's, I mean, the thing is, the UK's got a larger population, so they've got to build up the beachfront to a larger degree to be able to instigate it.
Well, I don't know about you. Have you seen the fact that a lot of these hotels now don't have these migrants in? And we're like, oh, they got rid of them. No, they haven't. They've put them into houses.
Yeah.
So these people, say, for instance, you've been waiting on the housing list. You know, you've got, I don't know, sort of 6 of you in a 2-bedroom flat. Tough. Fuck off. You're on colour. Now, if you've just piled off a boat and you can't speak the language and you're borderline fucking questionable, all right, you get a place. Why? Because it's the agenda. And I said this years ago, and I keep saying it. We didn't, our leaders at the time signed a pact that if we wanted to get cheap oil, right, and cheap other stuff, we had to sign this pact saying that we would always put Islam front and center, right? We would never paint it in a bad light, and we will always facilitate, right? What are we doing now? We're letting people in because we're not doing the same as as the Irish are with the Ukrainians as much. We're doing it with people straight off the boat who have come halfway across Europe for free benefits. So we're fucked.
I mean, it's not just the cash either. It's to do with the degeneracy that's involved with the religion of peace as well. You know, with they've got the pension for the children thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So our supposed elites and leaders, you know what they're about.
Mm-hmm.
So they're obviously going to bring those types in
because they lay them on. Well, they also lay them on with fresh meat, and it's alleged that many of the people that the likes of Savile got into, they were laid on by these orphanages, right? And also what was new to the reservation, those gangs, they would also lay them on. And in return, people just didn't look into them.
Yeah, and then you wonder why Mr. Charlie Sausage Fingers is saying, oh, have a happy Ramadan and everything else.
Do you know what? I know he's allegedly our king, but there are rumors that he turned over to Islam years ago. And why did he become defender of the faith? Fuck the other faiths. This is a Christian country. You are defender of our faith. And if you're not, you're a fucking... I mean, the amount of things that him and his mother signed, right, and they're supposed to defend us from any threats, foreign and domestic. Well, they signed so many things that they haven't defended us. So they've not stuck to what they said they were going to. Now, I believe is that there's so much shit on them by the lumps of wood, right, that if ever they went against the plan as such, that they would out the fact that they're raging nonsense. They've been part of some demonic shit, that this level Masonic masonry, and they've just been into no good ever since. I mean, don't forget.
Yeah.
I mean, they changed their name during the Second World War, didn't they? Because it was a little bit too fucking German, wasn't it? And what are the Germans trying to do?
Yeah.
The Germans are trying to destroy Europe.
Yeah, well, there's the pictures of them practicing their
this person's about that high. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, this has been going on. I mean, most people think this is to do with Marxism and this is to do with socialism. They're just tools that have been created by these people. I mean, these people have been doing this for a very, very, very long time. This isn't...
Well, the first crusade, we pushed them back. They were doing it then. But the problem is they're being facilitated by one of their enemies who hates us. These small group of people who, to be honest, a few years back were not welcome in many places. You'll have to stick with me and read between the lines here, right? Got the because no cunt liked them and booted them out. So when they got booted out, right, they decided that, right, fine. If we can't be let to fuck you over, push porn, disinformation, fuck your financial systems and everything else, then when we get the chance, because we will come back and we will get financially sorted and we will buy some of the most degenerate people going, we will get them to be our slaves and we will destroy your country with the other people we fucking hate. And here we are.
Well, we've been paying the jizya just under a different name. It's called taxes here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we're all servants of the state. We're all assets of the state. If you've got a birth certificate, then you are a person, a legal person. So you're not a man or a woman. You know, you're classed as a person.
They can borrow money against you.
Yeah.
There was an interesting thing. I don't know how long it is, but it's about your birth certificate and your straw man. And basically, when you sign that, and it's illegal not to register your child, isn't it? Right? They've made that.
Yeah.
So why is it illegal not to register your child? Right. And they're going to say, oh, they need to help and keep an eye on it and all the rest of it. No, they can now borrow further, is it $8,000 upon that child? Right. And that child becomes responsible for the debt that they've run up. Not just that, once they know where it is, they can put about X amount of fucking vaccines into this, which will make them money. And then also they can then make sure that they go to school, right? And they're not truant because you get fined, because in those formative years, you can make a person become, you could break their way of thinking, which is the way the people who failed at school think, people like me, right? And you can get them just to be good little debt slaves that don't ask any questions.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I mean, all of the birth certificate and stuff, the CSUKV Act thing, it goes back to, I mean, the funny date of 1666, the Great Fire of London. So that happened, and at the same time, while people were distracted, they brought that in, the CSUKV Act, which is you are then part of the state because your birth certificate and everything else. And see, the thing is, it's not every single man or woman that's born in this land is appropriated a portion of that land as people of the land under God, because all of your laws that are based upon that come from the Bible. It's all based on biblical scripture. All of the land and everything that's supposed to be proportioned out to the people is then held in trust by the crown.
And so you only owe so much of that land. The land below that, the crown own. Yeah. So you own the freehold, if you like, but they always have the ability to come back and take it off you. Have you ever seen the UN Refugee Convention of 1951?
Yeah.
Well, I might play that in a minute because, well, I'll play a little bit of it and then people can go look it up for themselves. But it's interesting. But yeah, well, you realize, well, we're fucked. Anyway, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on a minute because I believe there's a few other people trying to get in, ring in. And I will say, give us a call back at some point, boss. All right?
Shall do, brother.
You take
Have a good night, and same to everybody else. Keep your chins up, boys and girls.
See you in a bit, buddy. Bye-bye. Right, let's present this because this might be interesting.
Human migration is nothing new. For more than 1 million years, humans have moved their homes to escape famine, persecution, natural disasters, and war. Sometimes migration has been voluntary, but more often people were forced to move to new places, often at great risk. In the last century, we have seen hundreds of millions of people migrate across the planet. World War I created massive waves of international refugees. This sparked new international guidelines, laws, and conventions to protect a refugee's basic human rights. These guidelines were tested soon afterwards. At the start of World War II, more than 1 million people, most of them Jews, attempted to escape Nazi Germany. By 1945, some 40 million people had been forcibly displaced, deported, and resettled in Europe and elsewhere. The United Nations was established at the end of World War II. It made a commitment to protect the most vulnerable people wherever in the world they found themselves. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was established in 1948. Before this time, the rights of refugees were not anchored in international law, but subject to the laws of the countries they had fled to. An important United Nations-backed convention relating to the status of refugees took place in Geneva, Switzerland in 1951. In 1967, a protocol was adopted. 148 countries signed on to one or both. International support was clearly established. The convention states that people have these basic rights no matter where they are in the world. The right to an education, to exercise religion, to justice, to remain in a country, to not be punished for illegal entry into the territory, to practice a profession, to housing and to own property, to form and join trade unions, to public relief and assistance, to freedom of movement within the territory, to be issued identity and travel documents. All refugees are required to abide by the laws of their host country and respect the maintenance of public order. Today, the convention is more important than ever. The planet is facing its worst refugee crisis since World War II. Almost 1% of the Earth's population is an asylum seeker, internally displaced, or a refugee.
That's enough of that bullshit. But as you can see, hang on, let's go back to there. These people can just walk in here and they're never going to get bollocked and they're going to get everything thrown at them. And we can't do anything about it. And they're protected in every way. But because of this fucked off convention, they have to, our country and every other country that has these people, have to put them first and adhere to it because they've signed to it. They haven't signed to looking after your ass. You're indigenous. It doesn't matter. Who are you going to go to? So the thing is, we've been taking people into our country, right, illegally. Well, they've been coming in illegally. And you can't say or do fuck all. They will always be put first and nothing's going to change. So what are we going to do? This is the question. Nothing is there to protect the indigenous people. It's only to protect these people. And they know it. And the NGOs will go to them, right? And basically they'll say, you're protected. You've got no worries. Here's the help to get to the next border. Here's how to avoid certain things so you can get through and just keep cracking on. There it is. Anyway, we have a call. Hello.
Right. And basically,
hello.
All right, mate. Could you just turn the live stream down in the background, buddy, please?
Here's how to avoid certain things.
Sorry, mate. Sorry, wait. Here we go. That should be it.
No worries. How you doing?
Not too bad, Simon.
Excellent. What's on your mind?
Simon, well, we're talking about, the invasion, immigration, all sorts of stuff, pal,
Yep.
I mean, it's hard to know where to start, to be honest with you.
So, are you Are you still up in Scotland, or are you moved down this way?
I'm still in Scotland.
And what's it like up there at the moment?
To be honest with you, Simon, it's actually okay. I'm a hard bus driver, mate. You know, I do my job. I stay out of trouble, keep my nose clean.
Mm.
I've not been in jail since 1987. But I can see that there's a slow drip of immigration coming up this neck of the woods, like, you know.
Mm.
You know, I'm a normal human. I've travelled the world. I love to go and visit different cultures and everything, Simon. You know. But the trouble with this country is, like, you know, it's starting to become diluted, shall we say.
So,
you know, you go and visit a country, Simon. You know, if you want to go to Turkey, you see Turkish people. If you want to go to China, you want to go and see Chinese people, because they've got their own culture, their own values, their own language. You know,
it's like food, isn't it? Right? If you went to go and have,
yes.
say, for instance, spaghetti bolognese, you wouldn't expect it to be liquidized with every other meal. So it was one gloop, right?
Yes.
And it's weird to think that in the 80s, people would go to Spain and just see either people on holiday or Spaniards. You would go to Italy, same thing, right? You could go all over different parts of Europe and other parts of the world. And when you went there...
to France, go and see French people.
Yeah, literally. And now... The globalist destruction of anywhere that had any culture other than Islamic is total. I mean, there's parts of Great Britain where people just don't speak any English, right? And that's considered acceptable. I mean, there were people in Birmingham, right, that are women that are 40 years old that don't speak English. They've never spoken a word of English. They've lived here all their life, right? What the fuck is that about, right? And you know, when you travel all around Europe, you could do it years ago safely without being attacked. I mean, can you imagine backpacking now or hitchhiking? It just doesn't even bear thinking about. So yeah, it's fucked. And I don't know how we're going to fix this, or even if it can be fixed.
And Simon, on top of that as well, it's like, you know, it's, you know, our so-called people that are meant to represent us, they're the ones, and I'm talking about, you know, the last 14 years of conservative rule.
Mm.
You know, the fact that they're not in power now, you know, they can't wash their hands of this. Like, they could try and turn around, like, with a new leader and say, "Oh, we're sorry," blah blah blah. But no, this is a fucking total.
Right,
arsewipe, mate. This is a deliberate attack on our culture, our Christian culture, our values, our national values, mate. Everything about it. This has been going on for a long time. It's probably started since the Blair times in, you know, the early 2000s, like carried on by Gordon Brown, carried on by the Conservative Party. You know, this is a long-term plan.
Yeah.
You know, we are being invaded. There's no doubt about it. Like, you know, it's a slow drip. You know, totalitarianism. They never do it all in one go, Simon. They do it bit by bit by bit. They steal your freedom bit by bit by bit. Remember, Simon, it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. To get the R number down. Yeah. And then suddenly 2 weeks turned into 2 fucking months, and then 2 months turned into 2 years.
Yeah, they were making too much bank, weren't they?
You got to stay 6 feet apart.
Well, until you get on the plane.
Your face.
Do you remember
stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. You can, you know, it's what a fucking joke, mate, you know?
Yeah, but do you remember everybody had to be 2 meters apart until they got on the plane, sat right next to each other? It's a fucking joke. But here's the thing, right? In the early 90s, they sign these resolutions to make sure they put Islam first. And we did it, and I expect most of Europe did it on the quiet, right? Those part of the European Union. And then, in the end of the 90s, they've worked out they're going to have this war on terror. 1999, the documents were on the table that this was going to happen, right? Because whistleblowers in the CIA said they'd seen it, right? And then Tony Blair gets in along with, what's his name, Junior, Bush Jr., right? And
George Bush, yeah.
They have the second war. Now, this is allegedly meant to be a war on terror after they'd basically false flagged 7/7 and 9/11. Now they've got the green light to do the Middle East, right? And they take out 2 dictators, right, that are literally keeping trouble down in the Middle East. And they warned us what would happen, and it did. And then they managed to fuck the entire countries up over there, rob their gold, topple their leaders, and put puppet dictators in, right? And then they send all of these fucking people packing after they've bombed their homes or genocided the cunts or whatever they've done, right, across Europe, full of hate because we fucked them up, to go to the country that bombed them. How did they think that was going to work out? I think they probably knew exactly the way it was going to work out. I mean, the war on terror is a fucking joke. We are the terrorists that went over there.
Simon, there was also I can't remember his first name, but Kelly, the weapons inspector that went to Iraq.
David Kelly.
He was found dead in a field,
Dr. David Kelly. Yeah.
That's the one.
Apparently,
Yeah,
apparently he'd slit his wrist, but there was fuck all blood there. And do you remember he'd left answer phone messages and emails to his friends saying there's dark forces working against me here? Well, he wasn't the only one. Do you remember Robin Cook resigned on the eve of the war starting? He said, I can't be a part of this. And then he worked, because he was super fit, apparently, great hitchhiker, hiker. And then he went up a bloody hill and then just dropped down dead. So,
I mean, Simon, there's no doubt about it. Like, there's evil forces working against us, mate, and that's what we've got to realise, man. When I talk about evil forces, we're talking fucking evil forces, Simon.
Yeah, it's good and evil now, isn't it? Yeah,
and it really is, mate.
It's right and wrong, good and evil. It's not left and right anymore. It's just, are you a self-serving, degenerate fuck that thinks of nothing but yourself, that doesn't give a shit the state of the country you're going to hand over to your kids? Because this is something I can't get with these people. They know what's coming, but I'll be dead, so it won't matter. And I'm like, but you've got kids. Oh, well. And I'm like, how could you be like that? But these people are so self-centered that they're the ones that go around pretending that they love and care and everything, but they'll shit on their partner, they'll shit on their friends, they'll shit on their work colleagues, but they'll do it all passive-aggressively and make it out to be a big mistake. They're totally just in it for themselves. And they'll have kids because, I don't know, it's probably what she wanted or whatever. But these kids can fucking end up being Muslim slaves as far as they're concerned. I don't care because I won't be there to see it. Fucking unbelievable. And they're all fucking atheists as well. So they think they've got nothing to explain themselves for when they pass away, because you will have to sit in front of your maker and basically say, yeah, I did do a bit of alcohol, and yeah, I looked at a bit of porn, and yeah, I probably was a bit of a slut when I was young.
Simon, on top of that as well, we've got the new Keir Starmer 2-tier regime at the moment, and this guy, he's doubled down on fucking totalitarianism. Like, this guy's way, way beyond it, man. He's not only stealing money from the elderly, the winter fuel payments, he's quite happy to give billions to Zelensky. And you know what I love? This was like a comedy show, when he went over to America and he's sitting there next to Donald Trump and he pulls out the special letter from the king. He says, this has never happened before, a special letter. Did you see that, Simon, when he pulled out the letter in front of Donald Trump when Starmer went over to America?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that video, Simon?
I didn't, but I've got some news for you that might shock you a bit.
It was fucking out of this world, mate,
If you think Keir Starmer is the one that's setting any policies, or if you thought that, say, for instance, Blair set the policies, or if you think that...
I know they're not, mate.
It's all scripted before they get there, right? But
of course it is.
But the question I have is, who is scripting it? Why is it that they're scripting it the way it is? And who is paying them to make these decisions, to let these people into our country, to sell us out?
Simon.
I know where it's pointing.
Simon, that is the best question of the evening, my friend.
Well, it always used to be. We're all in debt. Every country of the world's in debt. Who's it in debt to? Well, it's fucking Jewish banking, right? The likes of BlackRock and other things like that. The same people that pay all of our leaders to be traitors are the same people
Simon,
that run up debt.
Simon, you're correct. You're correct, actually. All There's an old saying, Simon, from a way back. It says all wars are bankers' wars.
Yeah.
Now I know that Macron used to work for Goldman Sachs.
Mm-hmm.
I know that what's his name that just took over Canada, Mark Carney. You know, he used to be the Bank of England as well, but now he's taken over the prime ministership of Canada. Again, he's an ex-Goldman Sachs guy.
They're all very high up Masons.
Basically, Simon, you're correct, mate. They're all bankers, and all bankers make money from war. They don't care about our flesh, our blood. They're quite happy to throw us into the meat grinder. That's a fucking guarantee, that, Simon, my friend. And I'll tell you what, mate, all wars are bankers' wars. So if there's anyone listening there that wants to go and volunteer to throw themselves into the meat grinder, I would suggest stay at home, make some ice cream, and put your fucking feet up and have a cup of coffee or a beer. You know, simple as that.
So there's a guy in the comment, Dr. Mike Hunt says, Simon's finally got it. Simon knew it years ago. But what Simon had to do was wait until public opinion started to turn on them before we could actually speak about it. Before that, I had to talk in rhyme. I had to talk in wood measurements. You know, you get the idea. Stuff like that.
I know, Simon. So, yes, inches and centimeters.
So I knew the fact that, we're Goyim, and, you know, the very fact that everybody who isn't one is considered to be less than human. But there are other cultures that do exactly the same, like Islam. In fact, I believe that the Christian religion is a religion that can believe that anybody who isn't Christian is still worth the same. And yet the others are not the same. So, but the others are death cults. There it is. We're all putting one. What are we voting for here? I don't fucking remember. They're putting one in the comments. So somebody's obviously put something up there. I haven't got a clue. Good.
I was trying to backtrack to see what happened there, Simon, but I don't know. But listen, Simon, I'll let you go, mate. And I appreciate you. I was lucky to actually have a wee conversation with you, Simon.
No worries, mate. Will you take it steady, all right? Stay safe on the buses as well, bud, all right?
Good night, mate. Take care, buddy. Okay, bye-bye, mate.
See you in a bit, mate. We're doing all right, aren't we? Rev, that was me. Sorry. Oh, Rags. Hold on, mate. I take it there was what they call it, if you believe this, put one. I haven't got a clue because I can't see it. I could go back, but take me a while. So that thing I actually played, the UN resolution, wasn't actually the one I wanted to play. Although I think it's fairly important. Oh, fuck, what am I doing now? So let me see if I can find the one that actually is the one I wanted to play, which would also explain a bit. So just bear with playlists. I've got conspiracies, right? I used to call it conspiracies, but in fairness, it's actually fairly fucking accurate. Hang on a minute. Oh, let's just Straw Man. Where is it? It should be in here somewhere. Nope. I tell you what, there's some fucking buttes in here. Nope. I can't find it in there. Bollocks. That's a shame. Right. Where are we to at the moment? Oh, wait, that sounds West Country, doesn't it? Right. So a guy that sends me a load of information from Ireland, I say, well, you going to come on later and have a look? I've just got a message just to wait. What have you been up to? All right. So let's have a look at this sentencing. Except cookies. The epic fail online. So Labour's Shabana Mahmood, fucking beautiful British name again, humiliated as sentencing council rejects her demand to scrap new guidelines that sparked two-tier row. The sentencing council has rejected the Justice Secretary's demand to scrap new guidelines at the centre of the two-tier row. The letter to whatever Chops is, the chairman of the sentencing council, told the cabinet minister he had refused her request to alter the guidelines. She had urged the sentencing council to act after its publication of new principles earlier this month. And that's part two-tier, right? Where is it? They state pre-sentencing report would usually be necessary for someone of an ethnic or cultural or faith. Right. So the fresh guidelines tell judges to consider defendants' ethnicity when deciding to send them to prison. Isn't that great? There would also be the case that if an offender is aged 18 to 25, an addict, a woman, pregnant, transgender, or with mental health illness, right. So let's rewind that. So if you've got mental health issues, so transgender might come into that. Pre-sentencing reports often set out reasons why a jail sentence would be detrimental to an offender. What? Because they're special. So let me get it. Anybody who considers themselves above the law or religiously activated or oppressed because their ancestors allegedly fuck knows how many years ago were slaves, even though they sold the fucking slaves, but that doesn't really matter, does it? Right? Anybody other than a white cunt, right, can get fucked, right? They're not going down because they've got a special privilege. But us, well, I'll tell you what, if that was the case and everybody stayed out, I suppose the prison would probably be somewhat of a safer place to be in the long run, wouldn't it? It's not at the moment because it's full of fucking, it's run by Islam. Miss Mahmood criticised the guidelines following their publication and told the sentencing court to reverse their changes. She previously insisted there will never be a two-tier sentencing approach under my watch. Really? Interesting. Do you think it's... do you think that they should have mitigating circumstances like little Johnny's autistic, or I don't know, little Johnny believes he's little Jeanette, or little Jamal is prone to crime because of he was brought up in a black area that was deprived or whatever? Or do you believe that because he's Islam and he believed it is his right to touch those underage people that maybe he should get off? Do you believe, or do you believe it's just a case of it's the law of the land? Tough shit. Abide by the law of the land like everybody else. You're not fucking special. Because that's where I stand. You know, it's fucked. Or it just seems to me that they're just all too easy to bin out people, right, who don't have any privilege. And that'd be white people, by the way. And that's another thing, isn't it? When they start setting out that somebody's privileged, you generally find they're not. You got the opportunity. There used to be the opportunity of outcome, and there was the opportunity of basically, if you were one of these people, you all went for a job, and the best person got the job. That's how it used to be. But now they want to make sure that the people that do get anywhere are the people that they've handpicked because they're either BAME or trans or whatever, and these aren't the best people for the job, as we know. So there it is. Anyway, what time is it? It's getting on. So I think I might well wrap it up, and then I can go and get my leg up in the air. That sounds gay, but I've got a swollen knee at the moment because I wasn't drinking enough fluids, right? And because I wasn't actually doing a great deal of exercise. Bloody gout came in the knee, and it was fucking painful. But it's on the mend now, but it still hurts a bit. So riding the motorbike earlier on was fairly painful. Anyway, if you know anybody that wants to buy a pristine Bandit under 20,000 miles with a new clutch, oil's been changed, plugs have been done. What else has been done? It's MOT'd, carbs are balanced. It runs like a dream, right? And they want to pay $2,500 for it. Let me know. What is it, Ched? He needs a wank. So coarse. There it is. Anyway, I'm going to get off, and I will, you never know, might even do one tomorrow, depending on how we feel. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for everybody who's come along and who has watched. We are going to try and get what? Are you trying to stitch me up, Alan? Right? Okay. What is it? If he should start on. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to jump off, and you never know, we might get a Sunday sermon. Depends. We need some more news stories. And I'll catch you in a bit.